Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I am Vijay from IntuitorX Tech Academy. In this video, we are going to talk about our full stack development course. So let's get started. We are all surrounded by a lot of applications, right? We use a lot of applications on a day-to-day basis. Some of us use Facebook and Instagram for social media, WhatsApp for keeping in touch with friends and family. We use applications like Zomato, Zepto, Swiggy for food and grocery delivery. We use applications like Amazon and Flipkart for shopping. Some of us use Netflix, GeoCinema, Hotstar for entertainment. We use YouTube for entertainment and learning, and some of us might be fans of games like PUBG, right? And when you look at these applications come with a lot of features, right? For instance, if you look at Instagram, we can do posts, we can create reels, we can create stories, we can do direct messages, and we can even do shopping on Instagram. And some of you might want to build an application like this and maybe wondering how are these applications created. And obviously, whatever we see on our mobile device, the application that we see on our mobile device or on our laptop is not the entire application. It is actually a part of the application, and it is actually called as the front end. So whatever we see on our mobile device when we open Instagram, it's just the front end. But there is a lot more that goes into building an application like Instagram. So when you open Instagram, there are videos, there are photos, there are posts like text-based data, right? So those are actually not stored on our device, on our phone or on our laptop. It is actually stored elsewhere in a database and a file storage. So now we have a front-end application which runs on our mobile device, and then there is a database and file storage sitting somewhere else. So for the front end to access data storage or file storage, there is going to be a server, which we call as an application server. So now whenever front end makes a request go to the application server, and the application server will get the data or the files from data storage and file storage and return to us. So this kind of architecture works, but it works if we have like say around 1,000 users, because application server has a limit on how many requests it can serve. Obviously, an application like Instagram has millions of users, so having just one application server will not suffice. So there are actually many instances of application server in a real application. So when we have many application servers, so we introduce something called a load balancer. So whenever we make a request, the front end makes a request to load balancer, and load balancer checks the availability of different application servers. And based on the available bandwidth, it will route our request to one of the application servers. And then the application server will get data and files from the storage and return to us. So this architecture works, but there is one little problem. Like our application server is going to the data storage every single time we make a request. But the data storage is a disk storage, which is actually very slow. So if we start going to data storage for every request, the application will be very slow. So we introduce something called a cache. A cache is a faster memory. It's a RAM memory, which is random access memory. So whenever we make a request, the load balancer will route the request to one of the application servers, and the application server will first look for data in the cache. If the data is available in the cache, it will return immediately. If not, only if the data is not available, it will go to the data storage and then return the data. So that way our application is little faster. So now this is actually a very, very simplified architecture. This is not the architecture of Instagram. This is a simplified architecture for any application. So now let's take a look at what technologies we can use for each of these. So we can, for front end, we can use technologies like React.js, AngularJS, Vue.js, Next.js, and we can use like technologies like JavaScript, HTML, CSS to build front end. So when it comes to application server, we can use Java, we can use .NET, we can use Python, we can use Node.js, etc. For data storage, we can use MySQL, PostgreSQL, MongoDB, Cassandra, and there are a few other options. For file storage, we can use technologies like AWS S3, We can use cloud storage from Google. We can use Azure, etc. For cache, we can use Redis, Memcached. For load balancer, we can use AWS Elastic Load Balancer. We can use cloud load balancing, etc. And we can actually pick and choose between these technologies. For example, we can use for Vue.js for front end, Java for the backend application server, MySQL for database, and cloud storage for file storage. Or we can choose AngularJS for front end, Node.js for backend, PostgreSQL for database, S3 for file storage, right? But when it comes to today's startup ecosystem, the most popular technologies that are used is for front end we use React, for application server we use Node.js with Express.js, for database we use MongoDB, and file storage we use S3. And this is actually called as the MERN stack. MERN stands for M for MongoDB, E for Express.js, R for React.js, N for Node.js. There is also another technology stack called Mean stack, in which we use AngularJS instead of React.js. So both are very popular, MERN and Mean. And I think MERN is a little bit more popular compared to Mean stack. And this is also called as the full stack, because in this, using this technology stack, we can build an entire end-to-end application, full-fledged application, right? So this is what is a full stack technology. So now let's change gears a little bit and understand what are the companies looking for when they want to build an application like this, when they want to hire people to build application like this. What skills do they look for? They actually look for people with strong fundamentals, good programming skills, not just theoretical understanding, but hands-on programming, coding experience, people with good problem-solving skills, understanding of data structures and algorithms, people who have worked with databases, good communication skills, and also cultural fitment, whether the person is a team player or not. So some soft skills as well. So what is the general interview process look like? The general interview process is, so there is going to be a DSA and problem solving round initially. And then there could be live coding session wherein the interviewer will give you a requirement and you will have to code in front of them. You will get around an hour time to build the functionality. And then there are going to be some technical interviews, and then there could be HR interviews, right? So this is a general interview process. And most of the companies follow this. Some companies may not do live coding, some companies may not do DSA, but majority of the companies follow this interview process. Now let's look at why we wanted to start IntuitorX, because there are a lot of training academies already out there. One thing is, what we have seen is, if students don't get placement during their campus placements, so they will have to come to a city like Bangalore, and then they will have to go for some kind of training. They will have to go to one of these training institutes, and they will have to learn the necessary skills. And it takes around somewhere between 6 to 12 months for people to complete their course and then find jobs. And we feel like that is a lot of time wasted, because students have already invested 4 years of their time in doing their engineering, and then they will have to now spend another 6 to 12 months to find jobs, right? So that is a lot of time wasted. There are also a lot of training institutes in a city like Bangalore and across India. But what we have seen is, these institutes are actually run like factories. They don't have faculties who are actually working in the industry, who have real-time experience, and they don't actually focus on fundamentals, and don't do a lot of hands-on. Like, we have interviewed a lot of people from these institutes. They're good theoretically, but when it comes to practical experience, they kind of struggle. There are some really good institutes out there which do full stack development course, but they are actually not very affordable for the students. They charge somewhere between 80,000 to 3 lakhs for these full stack development courses, so which we feel is not very affordable. So our vision is actually basically we want all our students to have jobs while they are still in college, while they are still studying. So once they complete their engineering, they can start earning right from day one. So that's what our vision is. So now, why you should choose us? Basically, all our courses are affordable for students. We do something called project-based learning. We'll talk about project-based learning in a bit. We conduct mock interviews so that students are prepared for real interviews. All our instructors and mentors are industry experience. They have a real-time experience. They are working on these projects on a day-to-day basis. Then we will do career guidance. We'll also support you with placements. And all our classes are live classes, interactive classes where you can actually solve your doubts. So what is project-based learning? So basically, throughout the course, you will be introduced to a lot of concepts, lot of programming. You will be doing a lot of hands-on. So our instructor will introduce you to the concepts, explain the concepts, and on every 2 to 3 weeks, will be instructor will be explaining you a functionality, a piece of functionality, and the students are divided into groups. So now the students will collaborate, the group of students will collaborate and brainstorm on the ideas to build these applications. Like you come up with what technologies to use, what algorithms you can use, what data structures you can use. You kind of brainstorm on those ideas, and then you actually build the application, the functionality. So once you build the functionalities, you present it to the instructor. The instructor will review the functionality and provide you with feedback and guidance. And if there is anything that you have missed, or any if there is a better approach to do something, they will explain it to you and help you with building these functionalities. So now let's talk about what you will be learning from the full stack development course. To join this course, there are no prerequisites. Prerequisites. You don't have to have any coding experience to join the course. So we will be starting from the basics. So we'll introduce you to what is programming, then the syntax, then we will be talking about variables, data types. Basically, we'll be covering the basics. Then we will go into data structures and algorithms. We will be learning various data structures like stacks, queues, trees, arrays, etc. Then you will also be learning algorithms or problem solving techniques like prefix sum, sliding window, modular arithmetic, recursion, tree traversal, sorting algorithm, etc. Then we will be covering web development. We'll start from basics of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, then debugging skills, so on and so forth. Then we will go into Node.js and Express.js. We'll introduce you to REST API. We'll be building APIs using Node.js and Express.js. We'll be covering authentication, routing, etc. Then we will be covering the database, which is MongoDB. We'll talk about why choose a NoSQL database like MongoDB versus a SQL database. We'll talk about schema design, then aggregation and indexing, then CRUD operations with MongoDB. Then we will go into our front end, React.js. We'll be talking about JSX and virtual DOM, React components, React routers, what is a single page application, etc. Then we will be doing a capstone project. Basically, whatever functionality we build throughout the course will be including all of them and combining all of them and making a full-fledged application, end-to-end application. And then we will be deploying this application on AWS, and you can actually make it public. Obviously, you cannot distribute it to millions of users, but you can actually play around, share it with your friends and play around with it. And if you really want to build a real application, you can actually use that as a base, and you can actually build an application which you can serve to millions of users, right? Uh, so this is what you will be learning in the full stack development course. Regarding recruitments, we have actually partnered with a few companies already, and we are partnering with more and more companies, which will be interviewing you once you complete the course. And these are all mostly startup companies which are working on full stack development. This is about our full stack development course. If you have any questions or if you want to know more, you can call us or you can visit our website. You can scan this QR code to visit our website. So thank you so much for your time.